All right, guys, we are here. My name is Steven, aka Even Steven Money, and I'm here with Joe from retiredby40.org, and we are going to talk about the early retirement blueprint. So, Joe, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me over.
Absolutely. So now with the early retirement blueprint, I wanted to really pick Joe's brain and get a little bit of insight from him. But with the early retirement blueprint, I wanted to make sure that everyone had a good understanding of what we're talking about today. So there's 5 key steps to the early retirement blueprint. And they're pretty simple, but I wanted to walk through them step by step and then have Joe really give some more in-depth knowledge. So first, it's becoming debt free. So that's your personal debt, getting that out of there. Second is building that major investment to be your catalyst, which we're going to ask Joe about here in just a minute. And then second is that secondary passive income. And Joe's going to really enlighten us on some of the things that he's been doing with that. So I look forward to that moment. And then as well, really bringing a tiered approach to early retirement with holding off on your investments and waiting until the retirement age before you really tap into them. And last but not least is that emergency fund that really acts as your cash management strategy for when you actually hit the stop button and retire early. But let's dive into the things that I think are going to be really useful today, talking with Joe from retiredby40.org. And that is, the secondary investment and bringing that passive income, really up to speed. But I think first, what's more important than that is building that investment catalyst. So I wanted to ask you, Joe, what was your investment catalyst when you first started out?
When I first started out, I think the first passive income stream I had was a rental property. Because when we moved in 2007, and the housing market wasn't that great, right? So we moved, and then we put our old house up for a rent, and that showed me that I could be a landlord, and that just started it off.
Yeah, and that's not the easiest thing being a landlord. You definitely learn a lot of new things, a lot of different aspects of rental real estate there.
Right, right. I think everyone should, just try being a landlord if you can, because it's a proven way to build wealth. And and just try and see if it'll work for you. If it doesn't, you can move on to something else.
Absolutely, I'm in that boat as well. You mentioned moving on to something else. I think it's a great transition to talk about that secondary investment and that secondary passive income stream. Now, when I went on your website, I saw probably some of the most detail on the number of things that you have for passive income. I saw real estate crowd investing. I saw interest, dividends, the rental income, like you said, the small business. So I saw a number of things. Can you walk me through a little bit on how that transitioned from your rental real estate and just like your thought process and the strategy that you went about going through that?
Um, sure. So I think first we started off with rental, and then once I was making pretty good income then, so I was looking for different places to invest. But sometimes it's hard to just buy another rental, and I found that being a landlord isn't that easy. So I wanted to invest in dividend stocks, because you get dividend as income, and also you get a opportunity for the stock to grow too. So that's my main second source of
Okay.
passive income, and eventually the life has gotten kind of hectic for me. So I can't be a landlord much anymore, because now we have a kid, and my mom, she has dementia, and she lives in Thailand now. So
Okay.
I went over there for 5 weeks last year, and something broke at our rental place, at our rental duplex, and my wife had a really hard time fixing it. It was just the GFCI socket. You just need to replace it, and she really couldn't handle it.
Okay.
So she had a hard time. So, and she doesn't want to be a landlord. So if, I'll be spending more time out of Portland. So, we're just kind of transitioning to a more passive approach now.
Yeah, and that makes sense because the rental real estate for a lot of people it is going to be more hands-on than it would be as the example, dividend investing. So that makes sense, especially with your strategy and the way the way life turns. Everyone has different aspects of their life that are going to be different than someone else. So to have a hands-off approach sounds like it makes a lot of sense in your situation, Joe.
Right, right. And I'm trying real estate crowdfunding. I mean, it's new, so I'm not sure how it will work out or not. I'm just trying it out, and I'm keeping it, pretty low, like under 5% of our investment, just to see how it goes. I mean, I think you probably should try new investment as they come along, and just see how if it works or not.
Yeah, Joe,
But
and
keep it very little, you know.
sure. Yeah, you mentioned kind of that diversification having 5%. Now, is that something that I guess with your strategy for the passive income, is that something that you're really just putting in small amounts and testing it out? Or is your strategy, putting in larger amounts and seeing, what really works best?
It really depends what it is. Like if you're thinking about going into rental property, then you need to put a pretty large amount, right? But that's a tried and true way to build wealth. I think that it's okay to put in a larger amount there, but real estate crowdfunding, that's too new. You don't really know if it's really going to work out or not. Because the housing market has been doing really well for the past 10 years. We don't know if how it'll go with the next correction or whatever. So I didn't want to put too much money in there.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. Really just kind of doing some testing to see how things go. Now, what are your plans going to be moving forward? You mentioned diving or dipping your toe, I would say, into real estate crowd investing, but you mentioned also rental real estate and dividend investing. What are your next steps going to be moving forward? I guess what's your early retirement blueprint?
Well, we have quite a few things going on this year, because we just moved into our duplex. So this is a duplex that used to be a rental. So we moved into the bottom unit, and the upstairs unit is still a rental, and we're selling pretty much everything else. We have two more condos that we're selling. So we just kind of back on rental because, like I mentioned before, my wife can't handle being a landlord. And
Yeah.
and I think most of that I'm going to put into dividend investing. So stocks, but I have to be cautious there too, because, who knows? It's been so volatile lately, the stock market. So we're probably going to have to take it kind of slow and put a little bit into real estate crowdfunding. Yeah, so those are my main things.
So looking to make the move to more of a heavy dividend investing and starting to transition a little bit into that real estate crowdfunding.
Right.
Yeah, plans change, and that's what I think is really important about the early retirement blueprint, and it's just being flexible. And different things happen in your life that may cause change, but it doesn't stop you from really creating secondary income or creating that passive income. And I think that's very important in not only your plan, but anyone who is creating their own as well.
Right, and I think also for after retirement, I think you really should look at working like part-time or try to find other way to generate income. I don't really believe that relying on passive income 100% will work out if you're pretty young. Like if you're in your 30s, I think you should work a little bit and get a little bit of a side income. So for us, that's I'm blogging and I have various little side hustles here and there. I mean, I do the market research once in a while. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but any little bit help.
Yeah. Yeah. And those really, I mean, they're small, but the small passive income or as you mentioned, like a side hustle, it does add up. So, I mean, it is important. I think one thing that I'm probably diving into another topic, but one thing that happens with early retirement is, and the pursuit of it is everyone kind of says, oh, okay, I have to stop. Like that's when it needs to stop. But in reality, work or the option of working is really part of it more than anything. I think it ends up being part of it, whether you like it or not. Um, and a lot of people do like it. It's just part of it that they want to have an option to work, and it can be a research position, or it can be, something else bigger. It could be a 9 to 5 that ends up being a 9 to 2, it's just different.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you just have to find something that will work for you. For me, that's part-time, working from home, and for you, it might be something else.
Exactly. Well, Joe, that's everything that I had, all my questions. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for talking about the My Early Retirement Blueprint, going through the secondary investments, investment catalysts. Joe, can you give a quick shout out to everyone to let them know where you're at? I know I said retireby40.org, but tell me where you are today.
I'm in Portland, Oregon, and you can find me on the internet at Retired by 40. You can just Google, and I should be right on top. And really,
I like it. I may have set that one up poorly, but you knocked it out of the park with just Google me. Just Google me.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thanks, Joe.